After getting drunk, my stepbrother and I rolled into bed. He is known as Beijing Circle ascetic. Never close to women. But I was the first to break his abstinence. But I was the first to break his commandment. Afraid of his revenge, I decided to study abroad to stay away from him. Later, he locked me in my room at night in a bathrobe. He said in a seductive tone, "If you have your way with me, you won't be responsible?" In the evening at dinner, Ethan came back from work. When he entered the door, he gave me a leisurely and diffident glance, his eyes extremely deep. The housekeeper went back after cooking. Mom and Mr. Foster have been busy traveling abroad lately. So now it's just Ethan and me at home. He didn't mention last night's incident throughout the meal and I kept my mouth shut. After dinner I was about to go upstairs when Ethan stopped me. "Anna." I turned my head to look at him. He asked, "Nothing to say?" I pause, knowing he wants to talk about last night. My tone was light. "I'm sorry for accidentally stumbling into your room last night when I was drunk." Ethan didn't say anything, and I caught a glimpse of him raising his eyebrows lightly. When he doesn't react, I add, "Consider it an accident. Don't even take it personally." Without looking at him again, I made my way up the stairs. Actually, I lied. I did drink last night. But I wasn't drunk at all. Just had a few sips for courage. After breaking into Ethan's room under false pretenses. He was also lying in bed all drunk. So that sort of thing followed naturally. After washing up I got into bed. I drifted off to sleep and in the middle of the night I got a little thirsty and I went downstairs to get a drink of water. When I went upstairs again I was startled by a figure on the balcony. I let out a cry of alarm. Then heard a low voice. "It's me." I then calmed down and asked, "Why aren't you asleep?" Ethan didn't answer me. He had a cigarette in his fingers. In the dimness I saw the scarlet light up and then dim again. He exhaled the smoke. Then stubbed it out. Moving closer to me, he spoke after a long time. "Does it still hurt?" I subconsciously asked. "What?" "There." My cheeks burned a little and I said weakly, "A little. Did you put medicine on it?" "No." Ethan let out a deep breath. "Go to your room and wait for me." I didn't know what to do. But I did as I was told. Not long after I returned to my room, Ethan came over. He was holding the pills in his hand. My breath stuttered and I hesitated. "I don't need to bother you." Ethan didn't say anything. Just looked at me steadily. I knew there was no way I could escape. And I stopped struggling unnecessarily. Politely, I said, "Please." I closed my eyes nervously as I watched Ethan approach. Ethan was serious and didn't show the slightest sign of blushing. Afraid of losing my cool in front of him, I pulled the covers over my head. At the last second, I caught him swallowing. Ethan was busy. In the morning I woke up and he had already left the house. In the evening I went back to my room before I heard him come back. Ethan is 6 years older than me. My half-brother. When I started middle school, my mom brought me to the foster household. I was happy. I had the brother of my dreams. Ethan was good-looking and capable. The only downside was his temper. He was known as the capital's ascetic. And he never went near women. But I was the first to break his rule. I don't know if he's avoiding me on purpose. Anyway, I feel bad. There is a new bakery nearby. I plan to eat something sweet to ease the bitterness in my heart. Not long after arriving at the bakery, it began to rain lightly outside. It turned into a torrential downpour in no time. I wanted to wait for the rain to stop before going back. But it seemed to be determined to keep raining. I walked out of the store. And a housekeeper selling umbrellas approached me. "Miss, buy an umbrella." I glanced at her and was about to pull out my cell phone when I heard her say, "It's raining hard. Don't catch a cold in the rain." My hand holding the cell phone lurched. Catch a cold? A thought suddenly rose in my head. No need, housekeeper. I smiled at her and then rushed into the rain without hesitation, letting the raindrops scrape against my face. When I got home, Ethan was already there, seeing me like a drenched rat. His eyes lightened. "No umbrella?" "I forgot." Ethan teased. Why don't you forget yours too? I rubbed my nose and didn't say anything, getting used to his sarcastic behavior. I'm going to take a shower first. When I got into the bathroom, I didn't feel anything strange in my body. I decided to put cool water in the bathtub and stepped in shivering. After soaking for almost 10 minutes, I finally sneezed. I stayed in there for a while longer before I came out. I changed into my pajamas and was about to go back to my room to blow dry my hair when Ethan came up with a cup of herbal tea. Drink up. He handed me the cup. I took it and thanked him. Ethan picked up the hairdryer in a natural motion and then came around behind me. I sat in front of the mirror and didn't move, letting him turn it on and touch my hair. He ran his large hands through my strands with gentle movements. Through the mirror I could see his clear, three-dimensional features. His eyelids half-lidded. His expression focused. I hadn't seen him look this gentle for a long time. In fact, when I first came to the foster household, Ethan was quite kind to me. Perhaps it was because he didn't have a sister of his own and found it refreshing. He was very spoiled to me. He helped me blow dry my hair, put on my shoes, and even fed me when I was working at school. At that time, my mother also specially told him not to spoil me so much. Well, spoil. But later, the more he grew up, the distance between him and me seemed to become more distant. Maybe he thinks there's a generation gap between us. Or maybe it's something else. Anyway, I miss the old days. Is it nice? Ethan's sudden voice made my heart stutter. In hindsight, I had been staring at him for so long. My hair was already blown out and I said, "Thank you," with a fake calmness. I was honored that I managed to catch a cold with a fever attached to it. In fact, my health is quite poor. A small problem will be magnified several times in my body. Especially the fever, which lasts for days at a time. Ethan said to take me to the hospital. And I refused with a thick nasal voice. "I'm not going." Ethan knew I was always afraid of needles. So he didn't force me. He first brought me a fever reducer to take. After taking the medicine, I got sleepy and fell into a deep sleep. I don't know how long it took. But I couldn't tell if it was reality or a dream when I heard someone open the door. There was a sound of footsteps. And immediately there was a person sitting on my side. A large hand covered my forehead. The cool touch made me feel like I had found a point of dependence. And I struggled to raise my hand to grab it. Then brought it slowly down to rest against my burning cheek. "Want some water?" I murmured with a frown. The hand left. And a moment later gently cupped both my cheeks again. I was forced to open my lips. Then I felt water enter my mouth. The dry throat was slightly better with the water filtering through it. The pain cleared my brain a bit. I open my dazed eyes and the next thing I see is Ethan's enlarged, handsome face. The man laughed softly. "Anna, after all that hard work feeding you water, you have to ask for some interest. Don't you?" I was so weak that I just obediently closed my eyes. It was like I was about to be unable to think. Nor do I want to think. When I woke up, the lightheadedness was a little better. I went downstairs just in time to see Ethan making dinner. He tilted his head at me standing on the stairs. "Go wash your hands." I responded and went down. I hadn't eaten much all day. So I don't know if I was hungry or if Ethan's cooking was too good. I actually ate a big bowl. Ethan chews slowly and is very civilized when he eats. I pretended not to notice and put my eyes on his lips. My face heated up. Ethan calmed down as if it was a dream I had. "Anna, do I have rice on my face?" Ethan voiced. I coughed softly and buried my head in my food without looking at him again. After I got well, I went to a friend's appointment. I thought I saw Ethan when I went to the restroom. I didn't pay attention to the front of the room and collided with a waiter. "I'm sorry." I apologized. The man was smiling and sincere. "It's okay. It's my fault." When I came out of the restroom, Ethan was on the phone not far from the door. I washed my hands in the mirror. But I saw a figure approaching. It's the waiter who just bumped into me. He was tall and burly. A mischievous smile was flashed at me. I glanced at him and coldly said, "Get lost." Just as I was about to leave, The waiter even directly grabbed my wrist with one hand. Don't pretend. My eyes widened angrily. If you keep doing that, I'm going to yell for someone. The waiter snickered. Don't be nervous. It's just to make friends and give me face. He held my wrist in his hand. I struggled desperately. But to no avail. In the next second, I heard the waiter let out a scream. And then fell back. The grip on my hands was gone. And I fell into a firm embrace. With a sideways glance, I saw Ethan's lips pursed and his face blue. Turning to the waiter, he says, "You looking for death?" He pulls me a little farther away. Then strides forward in an attempt to hit the man on the floor. The waiter saw what was happening and ran. Ethan didn't want to let him go and went after him. I grabbed him by the arm. "Brother, I want to go home." When I opened my mouth, my voice trembled. The tip of my nose was sore and my eyes were burning. Ethan's eyes still had anger in them. He stared at me for half a second. Then said, "Okay." When I arrived home, I went back to my bedroom in silence. Back against the bed, hugging my knees, I scrambled to wipe away my tears as Ethan pushed his way in. He sat gently on the edge of the bed and fixed his eyes on me. I don't react much. Burying my head in my lap. A touch came from the top of my head. It's Ethan's hand. He stroked it carefully. I couldn't hold it back any longer and let out a sob. Ethan took me in his arms and hugged me tight. "Be good. I'm here." It's been a long time since I've heard Ethan's voice so gentle. Speaking words to coax me. The tears in my eyes fell harder. At the end of the cry, I lost my strength. Ethan went to get a wet towel to wipe my face. He moved very gently for fear of hurting me. "Go to bed early and call me from next door if you need anything." Ethan turned to go out. And I leaned over to take his hand. His palm was hot and his hand was so big that it felt safe to hold. I looked at him tearfully. "Can you sleep with me tonight?" Ethan didn't say anything. His eyes flickered for a moment. My voice choked. "Brother, I'm afraid." "Don't be afraid. I'll sleep with you." He agreed. Ethan came to my room after taking a shower. I was already half asleep. As he lifted the covers, I leaned towards him and reached out to put my arm around him. Ethan didn't duck. So I was reckless. He rested his chin on top of my head and his hand patted my back. I had a good night's sleep. The next morning, I woke up without Ethan at my side. I rubbed my messy hair and got up to get my phone. A friend with no notes sent a message last night. "Princess, you didn't say you'd get beat up for acting with you. Yesterday that man's kick was really strong. My stomach still hurts. I quit my job and got hurt. So you have to give me some moral damages. Right?" I replied without expression. "How much?" The opposite side reported a number. I pressed the card number to call over. "As long as the money is in place, I will disappear immediately." On the weekend, Ethan's brother Ryan came to see him. When Ryan saw me, he smiled cheerfully. "Hi, little Anan." After greeting him, I said, "My brother is in the study." "Okay. I'll go up and find him. What would you like to drink?" "Ryan? Just water." He stroked my head. "Thank you, Annie. It's okay." I poured a glass of water after he went up. The door to Ethan's study was left open. Slightly exposed. I could vaguely hear the sound of conversation inside. But I couldn't quite make it out. I was about to push the door open when my footsteps suddenly stopped. Because I heard my name. Ryan said. "Pure and lovely. Like little Anne. Don't you like it?" My heart was beating a little faster. Footsteps moved closer. Also wanting to hear Ethan's answer. "Not interested." Ethan's voice was low and his tone carried a hint of dislike and impatience. 3 short words crushed the flicker of anticipation in my mind completely. I played it cool and pushed through the door. Before going out, I took the opportunity to glance at Ethan. He was wearing gold-rimmed glasses and sitting at his computer desk. His long, slender fingers were tapping away on it. On his face was the usual calm and collected look. Ethan's birthday came as scheduled. I had a hard time choosing a gift for him. The young Master Foster wears gold and silver and has no shortage of anything. I've always given him watches and clothes before. This time, I thought about it. Why don't I give him something thoughtful? So I drew a sketch of him and gave it to him. When Ethan received it, I clearly saw the momentary dismay on his face. Watching him carefully put it away, I guessed in my heart that he should still like it. Ethan's birthday party was very lively. He was taken by Mr. Foster to chat with some elders. Mom chatted with the other housekeepers. I, on the other hand, was eating in the corner. Suddenly a voice disturbed me. Anne. I casually looked up. It was Justin. I immediately turned my head to the side. Justin smoothly sat down on my side with a sly look on his face. Why haven't you returned my messages all this time? I breathed a sigh of relief. Busy. What do you have to be busy with now that you're on vacation? I didn't want to reply to him and opted for silence. Justin didn't let up. I bought tickets for my favorite singer's concert in a few days. Are you going? Not interested. No. He sings really well. You should come with me. Justin is the baker's youngest son. Just a year older than me. He's had a crush on me for years. One of the reasons I didn't say yes was because he wasn't my type. The other was that he was childish and immature. Play aside, I said. Justin doesn't listen and continues to chatter in my ear. But I can't hear him anymore. Because I saw a girl standing in front of Ethan not far away. White skin. Beautiful. One side of the short hair pulled behind the ear. A smile between the knitted brows to show all the flavor. I asked Justin. Is that your sister? Yeah. She just came back from abroad a while ago. I realized. I watched Mr. Foster and Uncle Jiang say something. And then they both left. I understood instantly. This was a deliberate attempt to set them up. With Ethan's arrogant and uninhibited character. If he wasn't interested in her, he would just turn his head and leave. However, the two of them exchanged words for a long time, but did not see Ethan leave. On the contrary, when he looked towards me, he even revealed a smile. Seems like a good conversation. I've had a bit of wine tonight. It's a good thing I'm only slightly drunk and didn't lose my temper in front of everyone. There was a knock on the door of the room. Enter. Ethan walked in with something in his hand. Have some honey lemon tea. He and I had run into each other a couple of times while talking to the baker's daughter. So he saw me drinking. Thanks. He put the glass on the table. But I didn't drink right away. Ethan stood in front of me, showing no signs of leaving. He looked down at me with his hands in his pockets. It's my birthday. Why are you drinking more than me? I paused and grinned. I'm happy for my brother's birthday. The corner of Ethan's lips curved up and he looked at me steadily. He didn't say anything. But I felt like he said a lot more. Perhaps his sight was too hot. Like he could directly peer into my heart. I said in a less natural tone. Go out. I'm going to rest. I'll leave after I finish my drink. My eyes fell on the cup of honey lemon tea and I picked it up and drank it. Okay? I handed him the cup. Ethan reaches out. But changes direction as he approaches the cup. I subconsciously stepped back a bit as I watched his hand approach my lips. What are you hiding from? Ethan's voice is embedded with laughter. Without a second thought, he continued to come closer. I realized afterward. My body stiffens. Raising my eyes to stare at him. Ethan's forehead hair covered some of his eyebrows due to the movement of his head down. But he couldn't hide the coolness in his eyes. There are some thin calluses between his fingers. If anything, holding my face. I don't know if it's because of the alcohol. My face is a little hot. Ethan's eyes were dark. The room was quiet. He didn't say a word. Just such an action was enough to mess up my heart. I busily inclined my face and said with some undulation in my voice. I'm going to bed. For once. Ethan didn't continue to do anything. The door to the room was closed before I relaxed and was able to breathe. If it had been a second later, maybe Ethan would have been able to hear the sound of my heartbeat that was about to exhale. In the following days, Ethan became busy with work. I couldn't see him at home for a few days. Ethan said he was traveling for 2 days. I had nothing to do and was ready to go to the next city. It was evening when I reached the hotel. I put my luggage away and went out for dinner. When I returned to the hotel, I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure at the front door. Fixing my eyes, it was Ethan. He raised his hand to rub his brow as he walked, a tired look on his face. Not long after he entered the hotel, I saw another girl go in. It seemed to be Jessica. She's wearing sunglasses and wrapped up tight, but I recognize her by her hair. Turns out Ethan was still dating Jessica during his business trip. The two of them were quite discreet, going in one after the other. Obviously, he is a man who is rumored not to be close to women. But at the moment, his personality is collapsing. Jessica is really excellent. Looks, family, education. Just take it out and Ethan can be shoulder to shoulder. Moreover, compared to me, she is full of feminine flavor. Men should not be able to reject this kind. Ethan is no exception. That time was an accident that I carefully designed. Being gentle with me on weekdays was just out of my brother's position. It's always been my wishful thinking, my impure heart. There was no way for me to watch the two of them in the same frame right now. Loading up my luggage and preparing to change hotels. Walking out of the front door of the hotel. It was getting dark. Suddenly a person called out to me. Anon. I don't have to look to know that it's Justin. This person didn't know what means he used to know my whereabouts. Anon. You're not good enough to come out without me. I'm in a very annoying mood right now. But I can't really get mad at Justin. So I can only try to calm down. I am familiar with this place. I can bring you here. Justin said. I was about to say no. But then I saw Ethan coming out of the hotel and Jessica chasing after him. Ethan seemed to have seen me too. And he was walking on his feet in my direction. I suddenly looked over at Justin and hooked my lips in a smile. Justin said a little woodenly. Anne, you look so pretty when you smile. I pretended to be shy. Really? He nodded frantically. Like a chicken pecking at rice. I took a step closer to him and stared straight into his eyes. Then slowly moved closer. I suddenly realized that you have beautiful eyes. Maybe it was the atmosphere. And the distance was so close. Justin slowly lowered his head and tried to kiss me. I didn't hide. But when the tip of his nose was about to touch mine, a strong force ripped me away. Justin missed. He wanted to get mad. But when he met Ethan's eyes, he instantly wimped out. What are you doing? Justin was about to open his mouth to explain when I beat him to it. Dude. Don't ask. My voice was small and I was a little embarrassed. Ethan glared back at me. Jessica arrived at that moment and was a bit surprised to see Justin. Xiaobei. Why are you here all of a sudden? Justin glanced towards me. Weakly. He said. I came to look for Anne. Ethan sneered. His tone unpleasant. Jessica. You the Baker's people all know the skill of auto-tracking. Right? Everyone more or less knows about Justin pestering me. And he does find my location with precision sometimes. I've also wondered on more than one occasion if he's got a locator on me. But Ethan's comment made me feel like Jessica was included in the conversation. Sure enough. Jessica on the side looked a little stiff. But she still maintained her dignified demeanor. I'll take him away now. Saying that, she pulled Justin over. Justin reluctantly went back and kept sending signals to me. I watched in silence as he drifted away. Haven't you seen enough? Ethan snapped. I've seen enough. Go back to the hotel if you've seen enough. I said lightly. No. Ethan asked. Why? I don't want to stay. The man sneered. What? You just want to stay with Justin? I followed his words and replied. Yes. In fact, I was a little terrified when I said that. As far as I can remember, Ethan has never liked Justin. The whole thing was that Justin usually feared him as well. By saying that, I was undoubtedly antagonizing him. And that's really what I was thinking. The night was dark and neon lights flashed. Ethan's eyes were so dark, however, that he couldn't see a single light. He forced his way into the hotel and dragged me in. just staring at his tall and robust spine. I could sense the anger he was holding back at the moment. Just as I opened the door to my room, a heavenly spin took place. The door was slammed shut with a loud clang, spinning my back against it. Ethan was very close to me. "Anna, who taught you to stay alone in a hotel with boys?" His voice was different from his usual hushed one. "It's okay for you and Jessica. Why not me? We're adults." I wasn't very happy with that answer. Ethan didn't deny it. It made the last vestige of fluke in my heart grind down to a drop. My eyes were so sore that I couldn't stand it. And my tone was stubborn. "I'm an adult too." A soft chuckle spilled from Ethan's nose. "You can do what adults can do?" "Of course." I didn't hesitate. Ethan's jawline tightened, and a flood of emotions rolled through his inky pupils. He purses his lips straight, eyes obscure. Just like that night. Only this time it seemed like the emotions were deeper. When I opened my eyes the next morning, Ethan gave me a sidelong glance. Awake. I locked eyes with him and cursed in a smaller voice. "Animal." He laughed instead of being annoyed. I met his gaze. "Brother. You don't like me. Do you?" After asking this, my eyes stared at him for an instant, attempting to catch something on his face. But there was none. Ethan's demeanor was so calm that he couldn't see any emotions. Instead, it made me feel even more detached. "Take you back." I don't listen to him. Bury my head under the covers and go back to sleep. I ignored him for a few days. I was extremely perfunctory when he talked to me. Even when I eat, I keep my head down and don't look at him. After eating, I went back to my room. At the dinner table, Mr. Foster suddenly asked, "How's the conversation with Xiaojiang going these days?" I pricked up my ears and listened carefully. Ethan's tone was indifferent. "We didn't talk." "Why? Didn't you get along with her extremely well at your birthday party?" "We did." At the end of the party, I saw Ethan walking Jessica home. I wanted to walk away. "But it was your best friend's daughter. And I couldn't let you down." Mr. Foster didn't say anything, just sighed. He had introduced Ethan to several girls, all of whom were outstanding. But he just couldn't see eye to eye. "You really don't like it?" Mr. Foster asked. "Uh-huh." My mom laughed and said, "What does Ethan like? Tell the housekeeper." I pretended to be serious about my meal. But in fact, my ear was close to Ethan's mouth. When I didn't hear Ethan answer for a long time, I looked up. At once, I bumped into his line of sight. In a whirlwind, I heard the man speak bashfully. "I like long hair, round faces, and big eyes." Ethan said it in a generalized way, but I always felt as if he was mirroring me. He went on to add, "Like Aunt's sister." I was drinking water. I almost choked when I heard that. Ethan the man knows how to catch a break. My mom swept her eyes over Ethan and me and smiled. "It turns out that Xiaochen likes girls who are pure and cute. Housekeeper will definitely keep an eye out for you in the future." Ethan's lips tugged lightly. "Thank you, housekeeper." Mom and Uncle Goop continued on their journey. The night they left, Ethan came to my room. I could smell the faint odor of alcohol on him. "You drink?" Before I could finish my sentence, Ethan wrapped his arms around me and kissed me. When I reacted, I suddenly grabbed his arm and got up. Ethan didn't know what to do. I looked down at him from my high temporary position. I bent down slightly to his ear and I asked in a low voice, "Brother, you haven't answered my question from last time. Do you like me?" Ethan asked instead of answering. "What about you? Do you like me?" "Of course I do. I always have. I like it so much that I can't stop myself from saying it. But I can't figure Ethan out right now. He's too vague. Like a wisp of wind. I feel like I'm about to catch him. And then he slips through my fingers without even realizing it. I can't grasp it. And I can't get a grip on it. I won't be the first to reveal my feelings until I get the answer I want. I'm going to let Ethan speak first. Let him fold first. "Anna. You're playing me again." I froze. "What?" "The first time. You pretended to be drunk and walked into my room by mistake. The second time. You paid a waiter to put on a show. The third time. Just now. I was so shocked that my breathing became extremely unstable. So Ethan knew all along. I thought I had done it seamlessly. But it turned out to be a play in his eyes. And he watched as a bystander and participant. Suddenly I felt like a ridiculous clown. I'm also stupid to play mind games with Ethan. Sooner or later. He will play with me to death. I didn't say anything. I stared into Ethan's eyes. He had a smile in his eyes. But I winced at the sight. Anna. You little liar. Those were the last words he said. Ethan was on a business trip abroad and needed some time. Before he left, he asked me to wait for him at home and have something to say to me. And I calmed down during this time. Re-examining my feelings for Ethan. I'm not a person who will say give up easily. Especially when it comes to liking Ethan. But now, I seem to be a little shaken. I want to have the initiative. But I've been led by him from the beginning to the end. He probably more or less guessed what I was thinking. Now that I think about it, it wasn't because Ethan had other ideas about me the first couple times. It wasn't a novelty. It was revenge. Watching me fall into his trap. With Ethan's temperament. I don't know what he'll do later. I was so close to falling deeper into it. During Ethan's business trip, I contacted schools abroad. Everything was almost done and I mentioned it to my mom the day before I left. Just took this opportunity to get away from Ethan. And also to adjust my mindset. At night, in my sleep, I felt the door of my room being opened. Then someone approached me. My eyes widened in shock. Then calmed down again at the sight of a tall figure. Ethan. I opened my mouth to shout. A soft laugh was heard in the darkness. The man turned on the room light. Sure enough. It was Ethan. He stood in front of me in his bathrobe. I was a little shocked. It seemed like today was a few days earlier than he was supposed to be back. My cheeks couldn't help but burn. Ethan works out all year round. His body is not normally in good shape. The next second, after seeing Ethan's eyes land on my table, I blushed, scrambling out of bed to block it. But it was too late. What's this? Ethan picks up the scattered papers and looks at them. You're leaving the country? His voice was low and somehow I panicked. But I answered yes. Ethan's mouth dropped open. The word "oh" pulling out of his mouth in a long tone. Mrs. Foster agreed? Mom always supported my decisions. Including this one. Uh-huh. And my dad's okay with it? Uh-huh. And I agree? I laughed and said lightly. You don't need to agree. Ethan sighed. And is really growing up. I sat up in a hurry. Ethan. Speak. Ethan didn't stop moving his hands and pressed closer to me. What are you doing? Fuck. He lifted the covers off of me and came in. He took me in his arms. Don't touch me. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Ethan's tone was seductive. What? You're not responsible for having your way with me? Ethan held me closer. A voice came from above my head. Be good. I won't touch you. I'll just sleep with you in my arms. The room quieted down. And in a short while, I heard a sound of even breathing. Ethan really didn't do anything more than snuggle up to me and go to sleep. And as I listened to his breathing, I drifted off to sleep as well. The next morning, I wanted to get up to catch the plane. But Ethan pressed me to get out of bed. Waking up in the morning, he was already carrying an inexplicable hostility. He gritted his teeth and said, I won't touch you again until you agree. But if you try to sneak away, I'll leave you without the strength to walk. I was suddenly amused by his tone. Boldly, I asked, Ethan, in what capacity are you saying this to me? Boyfriend. My reaction was a little slow. What? I like you. I want to be your boyfriend. The air froze for a few seconds as we both looked at each other. The words of confession that I had dreamed of countless times in my dreams. But now that I heard Ethan say them in person, I was even more excited than I thought I would be. It even felt unrealistic. The idea that he is getting back at me flashed through my mind. After dinner, Ethan went to the kitchen to wash the dishes. I stood by the door and stared at him. If you have something to say, say it. I started my lips and asked. What you said this morning. Was it true? Do I look like I'm joking to you? And rightly so. Ethan never told anyone he was in love. Nor would he just open his mouth. The corners of my lips rose slightly as I tried desperately to suppress the joy I felt inside. When did it start? I ask. Ethan wipes his hands clean and stands in front of me. I don't know when. Only that it was a long time ago. Then why didn't you say anything? Ethan paused. Afraid you'd be scared and would turn away from me. I couldn't speak for a moment. It was as if Ethan's previous attitude towards me made sense all of a sudden. Not because he didn't like me, but because he was afraid to say it easily. Suffering from the desire to get closer but being afraid to do so. Like me. He was waiting. Waiting to catch evidence that the other person also likes him. Then he dares to show his heart to the other person. It's a good thing I worked late and came back early. Or you would have slipped away. Ethan raised his hand and lightly pinched my face. There was an afterthought in his tone. Even if I had slipped away, you would have gone looking for me. Ethan laughs. Yes. I know that he can do it. I go up and hug Ethan, wrapping my arms around him tightly. As if I'm afraid that it's all a lie. If I don't pay attention, he'll wake up. Ethan. I've waited so long for this day. After that day, Ethan and I were in love. Ryan came by a few times. When he saw how Ethan and I were getting along, he was calm and collected as if he had already expected it. Ethan, you're a real piece of work. Ryan teased. Ethan shot back. Say it like you're a thing. Ryan turned to me and said. I deliberately introduced him to a girl with a similar personality and looks to you. But he disliked it so much. I knew he'd be stuck with you for the rest of his life. Ethan kicked him. The conversation is getting dense. It turns out that Ethan said he wasn't interested in what he heard outside the study that time. It wasn't about me. Rather, no interest in anyone but me. It wasn't long before Mom and Mr. Foster were both finishing up a leg of their travels and were ready to take a trip home. Ethan was going to take the opportunity to tell the family about us. I was a little scared. I wasn't sure if the trip would go well. Ethan reassured me. It's okay. I'm here. After the reunion dinner, we sat in the living room and chatted. Mr. Foster suddenly said. Tatsu. Mrs. Foster found you a date 2 days ago. My mom chimed in. Yes. He should be your type. I suddenly got nervous. And Ethan handed me a soothing look. Dad. Mrs. Foster. I just wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you about something today. Ethan took my hand and I stood up with him. Mr. Foster looked at us holding hands. Incredulous. You. Ethan said. Don't bother picking a date for me. I like Anne. I always have. My mom was dumbfounded and stood up trembling. Anne. What about you? Looking at the look in my mom's eyes, I knew she might not be able to accept it for a while. After biting my lip, I said, Mom, I like him too. My mom suddenly held her head, closed her eyes and collapsed on the sofa. Mom. I rushed over to help her. Mr. Foster looked at Ethan and said, Your brother and sister. Mr. Foster looked at Ethan and said, Your brother and sister. Ethan retorted. The law says you can get married if you're not related by blood. My mom pointed upstairs and said to me, Anne, go to your room. I didn't move for a while. Hurry up. She repeated. Mr. Foster also comforted me. On. You go up and rest first. I looked at Ethan and he nodded at me. Just as I reached the second floor, I heard Mr. Foster yell. Ethan, you're out of your mind. My eyes burned. And I forced myself to go into my room. Actually, I was crazy. I was mad as hell. A long time later, my mom came into my room to talk to me. Her attitude was much more relaxed. From the time Tatsu told me what kind of girl he liked, I had a feeling about him. My mom said that I wanted to study abroad at that time. And she also wanted me to have less contact with Ethan in a different place. She didn't know if Ethan really liked me and would treat me well. She was afraid that I would be hurt and upset. But now that things have come to this, she won't be so extreme as to force us to separate. Mom will support you in whatever you do. She just wants you to be happy. Mom. When I opened my mouth, my voice was already muffled. And I couldn't stop crying. I don't know how long I cried. But I gradually lost my strength and fell asleep. In a trance, I felt hands wrapped around my waist and wrapped me in my arms. Ethan. I called him softly when I was woken up. It's me. Why do you always like to sneak into my room? Ethan kissed my forehead. Missed you. I laughed softly and burrowed into his arms. He didn't hit you. Did he? Mr. Foster looks kind on a regular basis. His temper can be really foul sometimes. But the good thing was that he only showed this side to Ethan. Ethan didn't say anything. So I was a little anxious. Did he really hit you? No. I sighed a little. Ethan buried his face in my neck. And his breathing stimulated my brain. Ethan asked me, "Do you like me?" His words were soft and light. Inexplicably, they made me soft. I touched his face. Like. A lot. Ethan squeezes my hand. Me too. Especially. I couldn't help but laugh. He whispers in my ear. I'll tell you a secret. What? I wasn't drunk that day. I was stunned for a moment. But then I reacted. Ethan. You're a little liar too. We're both sober. But we're pretending to be drunk. We were both sober. But pretending to be drunk to do something crazy. It's like I don't even worry about what's going to happen anymore. Because Ethan was there. Even if the future is unpredictable. But love can withstand all difficulties. And everything will be solved.